Old School RuneScape. Man, I am at a loss for words. A game with a history almost as rich as the world that it's set in, packed with enough content to allow anyone to play for thousands of hours and not even scratch the surface on what's available to them. Each player crafting their own journey filled with all types of ups and downs, from 6-hour nerd logs to 6-month hiatuses. From dry streaks to insane spoons alike, everyone has their own story. And this is mine. How I, an average RuneScape player, managed to achieve level 99 in all skills, all while balancing work, life, and starting a family of my own. Alright, so while we talk about this journey, everything I'm going to have going on in the background is all the footage from the rest of Hunter, 99 fletching, and 99 cooking just going on. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start, I have personally always been a completionist. I don't really quit games unless they just become unplayable. You know, a lot of people are always surprised when I tell them I still play games like Clash of Clans or even Old School RuneScape, because they're just, they're old games and they're slow, right? And I don't think I'm alone in this. Part of me enjoys that grind. Despite all this, originally maxing was never a goal of mine. I had other goals: an infernal cape, learning solo raids, or getting all the mega rares. The only problem I had, and I've sat on this for years, is that those goals don't quite have a direct and measurable path to get there. In most of these instances, the solution is, well, just do the content, right? Find a team or someone to teach you and learn it. And I think because of this lack of direction and lack of direct path, it becomes overwhelming to a point that it causes a state of inertia within us. A sense that it may be too overwhelming of a goal that, as a result, causes us to never take those steps. Eventually, after running into that beautiful cape in the wild enough times, the prestige that it carries, the utility that it provides, and lastly, the measurable steps one can take to get there, that's when I decided that getting 99 in all skills was what I wanted to do. Speaking of prestige, a lot of the time I get the sense from the greater community that having a max domain account isn't really much of an accomplishment, it's more of an obligation. That if your main isn't maxed after however long you've been playing, that it's somehow embarrassing. Well, I'm here to tell you that regardless of how you get there, as long as you're not like botting or RWTing, maxing is an insane accomplishment no matter what type of account you play. Even some of the faster skills take close to 40 hours of in-game time to go from levels 1 to 99. For reference, playing through the entirety of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time takes an average of 25 to 30 hours, and that's just the main story. Now, if you want to 100% the game, you're looking a lot closer to 40 hours, which is a lot more similar to that crafting grind. Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but the point that I'm making is that Old School is not for the faint of heart. For better or for worse, right? The game demands an insane amount of commitment and drive for even the slightest bit of payoff. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that this means that the early game is not fun or not fulfilling, but in fact, the exact opposite. The adventure in Old School is in the journey, not the destination. I created my account on October 25th, 2018. Now, a little side note, I know mobile didn't release until the 30th of that month, and I swear I made my account on mobile, but I digress. 2,458 days ago, at the time I'm recording this, I stepped into the world of Gielinor for the first time since I was a kid. And even to this day, nothing gets me hyped quite like that login screen music. Now honestly, if I were to try and pinpoint exactly when it was that I decided I wanted to max, it was probably back in 2022 when I got my first 99, that being 99 hit points. Apologies for the screenshot, obviously this is old. I think it was like, I split RuneLite with another application, so it's like taking up half my screen. Terrible dimensions, I'm sorry. Wasn't filming back then, but I remember when I first got that 99, I was like, I went and grabbed the skill cape and thought, man, I might need to consider maxing at this point, because that 99 feels good. Alright, so while we've got 99 Hunter happening in the background, let's talk a little bit about the journey. As I mentioned, I've had my account for close to 7 years now, and since I've only been doing this for about 4 months or so now, you've all kind of caught the tail end of my journey, which ironically, is when the journey got the hardest. My wife and I got married at the beginning of 2022, and I really wasn't playing a whole ton back then. At the time, I worked from home, so during the day while I did work, I would slowly chip away at certain AFK skills like crafting bloods in Zaya or cooking sharks, but man, even back then, doing sharks at 250k an hour still felt so slow to me, so I ended up stopping around 90 at the time. I just had no idea what an actual grind was. So more time would pass, and I really didn't touch the game for several months until eventually I started my current job, which ironically isn't work from home, and I made a friend there who also played the game. Since I was doing phone calls all day, 90% of my time was spent waiting for the phone to connect, so I decided that maybe it was time to get back into old school in some way. I remembered that I had the eventual goal of maxing and decided, let's get these AFK slow skills out of the way, make some money, and try to get the rest of these skills done. I started with woodcutting around the time that forestry came out and just always had my device at my desk, just barely out of view, slowly plugging away at it, and just to give you guys an idea of how awesome my wife is, the weekend that I hit 99 woodcutting, we were actually on a road trip, and she was kind enough to make sure that I continued chopping and deposited my logs while I drove. She's the bomb. So a lot of the dads that I talk to seem to have the same problem. Time. Or lack thereof. Most of us, myself included, work full-time, are starting a family, or just have other priorities. The challenge of maxing while working and parenting is really a balancing act. My wife and I have a pretty solid schedule and structure for our day. I'll leave work, go to the gym, come home and hang out with the baby while she works on dinner. Afterwards, I'll clean up, we sit down and watch an episode or two of TV, and I feed the baby and rock her to sleep. My wife has a pretty rigorous nighttime routine as well, so most nights I'll even find an hour after the baby is asleep while she's getting ready where I'll either work on video or work on some other in-game goal. I think really having a set schedule like this is what helps with consistency, which is the biggest key to working on a goal like getting all 99s. It's not about how quickly you get there, it's about slowly pushing to get there every day. Another important thing that I cannot stress enough is that this game can never be your number one priority. I think that the only reason my wife is okay with me playing the game as much as I do is that she knows that I'll drop the game at a moment's notice if she needs my help with anything. Unfortunately, that does limit some of the in-game activities I can participate in. That makes things like raids or other group content harder to find time for, but that doesn't mean that I can't still make progress towards my goals in other ways. So the path to max is filled with highs and lows with skills that are all so different, like agility and runecraft or prayer and cooking. But what makes it unique is that you get to pick when those highs and lows are, right? I said this in one of my previous videos, but if you are considering maxing, I would strongly recommend you get all the slowest skills out of the way first. I talk to so many players every week who tell me, I'm one or two skills away from my max K, but it's mining and agility, or agility and runecraft, so I just can't get myself to do it. By the time I'd finished mining, I still had almost 100 levels to max, but it took me a mere 6 weeks to get there, and I was looking at, 1 or 2 99s each week, which obviously you guys would know by now. But just some of the most unreal dopamine farming you've ever seen. And looking back at some of my older videos, the fact that I was geeking out over it only taking a week to go from 98 to 99 mining is just, man, I cannot imagine if that was my last skill. So again, please, if you're considering maxing, just get mining, agility, runecrafting, woodcutting, fishing, all that garbage out of the way ASAP. You will thank me for it. Man, this last week was a wild adventure after Hunter. I was originally planning on finishing cooking with wines and taking fletching nice and easy, some super AFK, magic longbows, maybe the new Varlamore fletching activity if I didn't hit 99 beforehand, but I sat down with my buddy and he pulled up Wise Old Man. He points to the screen and says, look at that, 6 efficient hours to max. Now if you're not familiar with Wise Old Man, it's a site that shows you tons of awesome statistics about your account. I would highly recommend you take a look. Efficient hours, though, is basically just time you've spent doing the most efficient activity, meaning that if I did Dragon Darts and 1-ticked Carom Wands for cooking, I'd be maxed in a mere 6 hours of gameplay. This lit a fire under me. I put in a massive buy order for all the darts I need and would sit there and fletch through the buy limit of 11,000 in about 10 minutes and resume cooking. At night after baby was down while I was waiting for my wife for us to go to bed, I'd be 1-ticking Carom Wands. I was gaining levels so fast that I didn't even bother recording half of them just to get it done. And I know this all goes against my mantra of slow and steady wins the race, but man, it was tough to resist the fact that I could be max within a day or two. So, without further ado, let's get ourselves a max cape. This is it, everyone. It's hard to put into words how monumentous this occasion is. The culmination of 7 years of progress on my account, filled with highs and lows, setbacks and leaps forward. This is where it all ends, right here at the Warriors Guild. Alright, one more. Use feather on the dart tip. There we go, baby! Fletching level is now 99, and we are maxed. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Congratulations, you've reached the highest possible total level of 2,277. Oh my gosh, guys. I am floored right now. This is... Oh, we're done. Okay, I need to go get the cape. Oh boy. Okay, axe and pickaxe. Axe and pickaxe. We'll let the rest of this footage play out, but man, what a journey. You know, in the moment, this felt so monumentous, like I was finally free. Walking around with this cape with a years-long goal of mine finally complete, it was a feeling unlike any other. And it was so surreal that I really didn't even know what to do for a little bit. My wife had left for a baby shower, and it was early afternoon. I wandered through the house for a bit, did some cleaning, and just, you know, basked in the silence. I still have goals, but as weird as it may sound, I felt somewhat empty. As I said earlier, the adventure is in the journey, not the destination, and the skill and grind had become part and parcel of my day-to-day. Well, I was here and I didn't even know what to think. Do I take a small break? Do I immediately start working on my next big goal? I went to the driving range and hit a few balls while I pondered this. It still didn't feel real that I had finally reached this goal that not only has been a goal of mine for years, but a goal of so many others. I thought about all the things that might change, and I thought about this YouTube channel. You know, we're just starting to grow, and now that I no longer have the day-to-day grind where I'm making progress, what types of content will I be putting out? Will I have enough content for weekly videos still? I don't want to slow down by any means, but of course I'd rather make sure that the content I'm making for you guys is actually worth watching. I thought about how this wasn't just an achievement in a video game. It was a reminder that I can stick to something, even when life gets busy and things get hard. So many things to think about, really, but what we need to do is look forward. We've reached level 99 in all skills, but in a way we are just getting started. So what's next? We have pet hunting, we have working on max gear, learning raids, infernal capes, combat achievements. Yeah, we're skilling again. You know, mostly on mobile, kinda is where I've been doing the skilling. It's which is funny, considering how I was just saying that I will never skill again after maxing, but here we are. My cash stack is sitting at a terrifying 4 mil right now, so I originally wanted to chase the Rock Golem pet at Amethyst, but I was there for about an hour, and frankly, that wound is still a little too fresh. But honestly, I kind of miss woodcutting, you know? It's so cozy, man. We're sitting in Arctic Pines because it's the best pet rate, so beaver pet is what we're gunning for right now. So the pet hunt begins, and that is a long, arduous journey, so in the meantime, we have one other big goal. 1 week, 1 word. Inferno. The Inferno has been a goal of mine for years now, and it has always felt so far out of reach, right? And now that I'm maxed, I don't dare walk around in public with a maxed cheese cape, so I have to get my Infernal cape ASAP. This week, my wife is out of town with the baby to visit her grandparents in another state, and I sadly didn't have any PTO to go with them, but that does mean I have a full week of Inferno attempts, and I'm just praying that I get to release a video next week about my Infernal cape journey. So I have no idea if I'll be able to get that in time, but this is me putting it out there in the world, asking you guys to keep me accountable. I am getting my Infernal cape if it is the last thing I do. So, in retrospect, the question you might be asking yourself is this: is maxing something I will ever be able to do? And the answer is a definitive yes. It is a long and daunting path, but take it one step at a time. Take breaks if you need to, but just work on it slowly and surely and you'll get there in time. This game isn't going anywhere, and the entire point of the journey is setting those goals and reaching them. Once you reach them, set new ones, more ambitious ones, and always keep striving for something more. But in the end, what you need to do is remember that at the end of the day, we are all here to have fun, and if you're not having fun, don't burn yourself out, right? Thanks so much for watching, everyone. This journey has been an insane journey, and it's been a blast so far, and I really look forward to what comes next. So stay tuned, and wish me luck on the Inferno. Take it easy.